Attacks on linemen. Several people working on the front lines to get the power back on say they have been threatened or assaulted while on the job. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm Mario Diaz in for Bill Barajas. It's been 1 week since Hurricane Beryl, and tonight there are approximately 268,000 CenterPoint customers in our area still without power. Local leaders say not only does CenterPoint have to do better, but so do Houstonians after several linemen were victimized while trying to restore the city's electricity. One man was arrested for threatening a lineman with a gun. KPRC2 reporter Corley Peel is speaking with that lineman tonight.
I spoke with that lineman on the phone. He didn't want to go on camera, but he says he's here from out of state, and he's been helping restore power in our neighborhoods ever since Beryl hit. He is okay, but police say those committing crimes against crews will face stronger penalties.
People of Houston. Boy, I got
Some out-of-state linemen speaking out on TikTok after receiving threats and people questioning their work as they restore power following Beryl.
We're all here and we're all working our hardest, but we can only do what CenterPoint asks us to do and when they tell us to go.
This video shows a man on 59 near Buffalo Speedway hitting a crew's truck with an object. Several law enforcement and local leaders came together addressing the violence against power crews.
We've had guys have guns pulled on them. We've had guys had rocks picked up and slung at them. I had a crew out in Sugar Land, D&T Power, we're working out in Sugar Land. They had guys have AK-47 standing across the street from them, never pointed it at them, but menacing them.
Some linemen harassed while eating lunch, accused of not working, forcing crews to move staging areas.
They elected to move their operation from Barnett Stadium, which was very close to the work being done, all the way out to Barker Cypress because they felt threatened. Well, that slows down everything, and that meant more people were going to be without power even longer because of the distance that they're going to have to travel just to get back and do that kind of work.
This man, 38-year-old Anthony Leonard, now charged with aggravated assault. It happened in this area of Hayes Road and Wilcrest Drive, where several crews have been stationed waiting for their next job. Police say Leonard pulled out a gun on one of the electric utility workers, then took off. I did speak with that lineman, and he tells me, fortunately, he is okay.
When we're told to go, and we go hard as we possibly can, because we miss our families too. We want to go home, we want to see our wives, we want to see our kids.
CenterPoint sent out a message saying those out-of-state crews were invited to be here, so they're not obligated to stay if they feel unsafe. They can leave, and if they do leave, that could slow down restoration. CenterPoint says it does expect to restore 90% of its impacted customers by Monday. Corley Peel, KPRC 2 News.
14,000 linemen working 16-hour days in this heat to get the power back on, and they're being threatened while doing it. 5 incidents are under investigation right now, and city leaders want the threats of violence to stop. Over the weekend, the picture you were just looking at, Houston police arrested that man. They say he pointed a gun at an electric worker. Anthony Leonard now charged with aggravated assault, and Houston police say violence like that against line workers, it's not going to be tolerated.
For every time someone does this, it slows things down and it hurts us, and this is not who we are. I'll also say, when you do take matters in your own hand and do things like this, we will hold you accountable.
Well, penalties for certain crimes, they're actually enhanced, did you know, during a disaster declaration. But as always, with any disaster, it's just important that we be good to each other.
Yahweh Bashem Yasharahla, Bashem Hagadash, double honor to the apostles of Ellsbury Millstone, peace, citation, hope for luck, Shalom. And the title's lesson is going to be Repair Crews Face Threats in Houston by Frustrated Residents. And I just wanted to do this video in addition to the previous video that I did, where it was my response on that nigga woman that, you know, had her outbreak, you know, pretty much she was like venting because of the fact that she was suffering about a week with no power, and pretty much you have other residents in Houston who are suffering the same issue because of the hurricane, you know, Beryl, that caused that situation out there and made it to where Houston residents are suffering without power. And now you have it to where some of the residents are actually trying to attack the electricians, which is like, the utility, repair crew. And it's like, it really shows you how crazy these people are getting, as the times get tougher. But anyway, the article for NPR.org says, repair crews face threats in Houston by those still without power a week after Beryl. It says July 17, 2024 to 2:47 a.m. by the Associated Press. It says utility crew worked to restore electricity in Houston on Thursday. Prolonged outages following Hurricane Beryl has some fed up and frustrated residents taking out their anger on repair workers who are trying to restore power. Houston, drawn guns, throwing rocks, threatening messages. Houston prolonged outages during Hurricane Beryl has some fed up and frustrated residents taking out their anger on repair workers who are trying to restore power across the city. The threats and confrontations have prompted police escorts, charges in at least 2 cases, and pleas from authorities and local officials to leave the linemen alone so they can work. Beryl knocked out power to nearly 3 million people in Texas, with most of those in the Houston area. After making landfall July 8th, the Category 1 storm unleashed heavy rain and winds that uprooted trees and damaged homes and businesses along the Texas coast and parts of southeast Texas. State authorities have reported 18 deaths from Beryl in the Houston area. Some have been due to the heat exposure following the loss of power, according to the medical examiner's office in Harris County. Linemen, and quote, are friends and are doing their job. Do not threaten them. I understand you're angry and mad and frustrated, but let's get through this, Mayor John Whitmire said during a news conference on Monday. Houston police have investigated at least 5 cases involving threats made to workers and other employees, whether in person or online. Let me see. So, that's pretty much it on that. I'm not gonna really go too much in depth of this article, but yeah. So I'm just gonna bring out some scriptures a little bit and make this less edifying. And this is 2 Ezra 16 verse 18. It says, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars and the powers shall stand at fear, the beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? This is basically what Ezra is saying, because you see that little situation that happened with power outages because of a hurricane, like what happened in Houston. That's just that's hardly the beginning. That's like literally, like, shit ain't really popped off yet, and that was a power outage for a week. Jacob's Trouble is gonna be way worse than that. It's gonna be like one of those movies that show you the post-apocalyptic time period where society is like literally so poor, and people hardly have any resources to fend for themselves, and they have to end up doing like what the people did in The Walking Dead, having to rely on doomsday preppers and things of that nature. Yeah, because that's the time period that we're gonna come into, and shit is gonna be like a purge, So that was just a minute form of Jacob's Trouble that happened out there. And Houston is it's pretty hot down there because it's like south of North America, so the southern states are usually the hottest, especially during the time of summer. And bring out verse 19. It says, the whole famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Right. And that right there was a scourge for amendment, because you see, one thing about, like I said, in those southern states, like you got Houston, you even got like California in general, and then just like, of course, the southern part. Basically, you have it to where a lot of people usually travel to the southern states, for the summer, and famous places would be Georgia, Houston, and Atlanta, and what's the other place? Florida. Yeah, I think I said that. Florida, Houston, Texas, and Georgia, and then they also, travel to California. And, those states in particular, are very infamous for people, that like to go out for summer vacations, and even Las Vegas and Nevada. So, but mainly in, Miami, like in Florida and Georgia, and even in Houston, they have a thing where they call Freakniks, where so-called black people like to go out there and the nigger woman, amongst the 12 tribes, of course, they like to have their little hot girl summers, and pretty much, of course, with that, they commit a lot of adultery, and they, do all type of drugs, and pretty much drinking. They have like an excessive amount of drinking going on there too. And of course, there's a lot of problems that go on. Of course, like STDs may rise because of those things, and even potential deaths too, because a lot of times, a lot of deaths that happen are pretty much associated, because of a woman. You know what I mean? And it all revolves around niggas fighting over a bitch. Because she might be in a different state or so, and then come down to that state to go cheat on her boyfriend and things of that nature. Or even though she's around in that particular state, she might be from a different city or a town that's far from that particular city that she's going down to, party in. And then basically, just a lot of drama goes on with those Freakniks. And one thing about Jake is that Jake will always, deny like the things that's happening, in the world, and the things that's always, being reported on the news. It's pretty much like the Most High's judgment is staring up, and a lot of people just don't want to take heed to what Brothers in the Truth is saying, Some people altogether don't want to watch the news because they, are so overwhelmed with the amount of reports that's happening when it's coming to, the amount of deaths you see, the amount of women getting snatched up and raped, trafficked, or, the amount of natural disasters that's happening all around the world. And the list goes on. These are all scourges for amendment. And it says in verse 20, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Alright. And you see, that's a scourge right there. And it's crazy to see how you have residents that are so cranky to where they wanted to fight the repair crews that's trying to restore the power outage. So it's like, now if they don't want to do their job and they decided to have a strike because, let's say, one of the repair crews got hurt from a GMO resident nigga that lives around the area, that decides to take his anger out on the repair crew, you know what I mean? And now they don't want to restore power, all because of the fact that they're in fear of their life. So that makes you suffer, and at the same time, it's like these stupid people don't realize shit like that will cause you to not get power restored in that particular city or town that you're in, or the neighborhood in general, But like when this world, it's like, people don't make sense out of anything anymore, because, it's ironic to say that common sense, that term, when a lot of people seem to have so much demons on them that may make them operate in the most irrational, illogical way possible. People will act in a nonsensical way, that just like a baby, like when they get upset and they get mad, they'll have a temper tantrum, they'll do things that hurt their self, and then it's like they do that to try to gain your sympathy or gain your affection, and that's what these stupid ass people are doing, and it's like you're just adding more to the situation, And I'll bring out Proverbs chapter 1 verse 7. It says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. And one thing about these foolish people in this world is like they don't seem to want to hearken to this truth, no matter how much the Most High sends judgment, in this place, and it's like people feel like they're just gonna come right back out of the judgment. And honestly speaking, you may not even be sure if you're gonna survive during the time of a natural disaster. The Lord may just very well make your house get hit, or make you suffer if you're on the road or something like that. You may not make it through alive. And let me see, I'm gonna bring out this precept right here. It says, in Proverbs chapter 12 verse 15, the way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covereth shame. Right. You see, and the thing about a fool is that, as you see those dumb residents that try to attack the repair crew, that goes to show you how stupid they are, because it's like, they try to make their wrath known. Of course, they just do things that are so dumb. They don't understand that out in the street there's going to be traffic, there's going to be there's going to be cameras all around every street corner, right? And with that being said, like I said earlier in the video, what makes them even dumber is the fact that they're doing, let's say, trying to assault the repair crew, which is going to make them delay restoring the power, especially if they feel like their life is at risk. Because I sure as hell wouldn't do a job if my life is being put at risk. If motherfuckers threatening me with a gun, or motherfuckers trying to throw rocks at me, that would be crazy. So it's like these people don't even think no more. It's just like they just go straight for, just like a child. They just literally act out of anger. And if they're moving like this right now, you can only imagine what these people finna do during Jacob's trouble. It's like, that's why Daniel 12 chapter verse 1, it tells you like time is gonna be so bad, Michael Archangel is gonna literally have to really protect the 1/3, which is the elect. He's gonna literally have to stand up, and there's gonna be a lot of spiritual, encounters and a lot of divine intervention on a whole nother level during that time, because you're gonna have not only Esau rolling in with his military, but you're gonna have a lot of these crazy people that's gonna just be going out, trying to attack whoever. Because of course in that time period, it's not only going to be a lot of race wars, but it's just going to be just a whole bunch of catastrophic events happening, simultaneously. And of course during the time of famine, people are going to be desperate to, do cannibalism in that time. So if they see you and they know they got an advantage over you, and they're going to basically, snatch you up and abduct you and, do whatever they, feel like doing with you. And, it really goes to show you about that precept that is mentioned in Ezekiel the 2nd chapter and Ezekiel the 3rd chapter, how, this house of Israel, the nation of Israel, is a rebellious house, and they're so messed up that it's like you have to take the Lord to put you through so much captivities, right? And then even just throughout the time periods of the nation of Israel, serving out their hardcore captivity, he takes you out, right? Sets you in your land, and it's like you go off, you gotta put your captivity again, and then it's like to this time period, we still serving our captivity now in this time period under Esau. And then now you have it to where Jacob's just still, doing the same shit. They're not learning of their wickedness. They're not trying to repent. And the Lord sends scourges for amendment, such as like natural disasters, to even cause power outages. Even the temperature becoming too hot or too cold, which may also affect the power grids and cause a power outage. You know what I mean? And then it's like people just still, like, that's the only time that you may see them humble down to some degree. And then it's like afterwards, when things go back to normal, these people just, they forget about what humbled them in the first place. That's why it's gonna have to take only just the 1/3 for the Lord to really save, because people on this earth, it's like the majority of them are wicked. Especially 2/3 of Israel. They're completely gone. And that's why we say through the Spirit all the time, 2/3 gotta go. But with that, who made us edify, let's give all glory, praise, honor to Adonai Yahweh, Bashem Shalom, Yahushua, Bashem HaKadosh, the Bonus Apostles, Elsgrim Milsto, Peace, Station, Full Lecture,